Awesome. Actually, I thought at first that the organizers made a mistake inviting me because the theme is computer power. And I'm all about human power nowadays. Because actually I studied at the university in Delft in the Netherlands as a software engineer many years ago. Yes, I know how to program computers. But I was probably so bad at it that my teammates begged our CEO to promote me away into a management position where I could do less harm. Little did they know at the time. So I started managing people instead of computers, and I had absolutely no idea how to do this. Really, no clue whatsoever. Like many other managers out there, actually, that led to some problems. I managed the organization as a machine. That's how I knew how to work. For me, software developers were computers on legs with hair. I tried to program them, didn't work. I gave them instructions, they never followed them. I tried debugging, even worse, I can tell you. Don't do that on people. So I was pretty bad at being a manager, and I had some wonderful stories of me failing. My favorite one that I often share, now I can laugh about it, is at the end of the 90s, I was named Entrepreneur of the Year in the Netherlands, my home country. I was Entrepreneur of the Year 1999, and the jury gave me that award for my business plan. Okay? Not my business plan. Let that sink in for a moment. It turns out that I was very good at writing plans. I was a very good writer, and I could illustrate. I made diagrams that looked fantastic. The diagrams in my plan said that the profits would be going up. The revenue would go up, the number of employees would go up, my ego would go up, everything would go up according to the plan. They had never seen something like that before. They thought it was awesome. They made me Entrepreneur of the Year for my plan. And then I got some informal investors to invest 1 million euros in my little internet startup at that time. And I hired 6 or 7 people, and we were very successful at spending all that money to the last euro. We never found any customers though, because the plan didn't work. Well, I have many more of those failures behind me. So bad performance leads to bad management leads to bad performance. But everything has changed. As Ben just said, I travel around the world. People invite me to share a couple of stories about better management, more human management, and I'm going to share some stories with you today as well. And there's no single bullet, silver bullet. There's no one best way to manage an organization and work with people. There is no holy grail, as the British would say, but who cares what the British think nowadays in Europe? I don't. Sorry. But there are 7 silver bullets. I found that there are 7 silver bullets, actually, working with people. And I'm going to give you some examples. First one, something that I learned is it is easier to have people change their behaviors or influence them by sharing food. When you want to convince someone, feed them at the same time. Sociological, psychological trick. So I once invited my colleagues to my house for dinner. 2 programmers, an account manager, a project manager, a system administrator, the senior vice president of the pencils and paper clips. And I got them to my home, and when they arrived, I told them, and now you do the cooking. Surprise! They thought it was a little bit odd. But then they started self-organizing. The 2 programmers took care of the main course. The account manager and the project manager said, all right, well, we'll do the appetizers. The system administrator said, okay, I will take care of the desserts. And being a system administrator, he did not allow anyone access to the chocolate, of course, without permission, filling out a form. And I was managing, which meant I was standing there looking at other people doing hard work. It's a great job. Great job. Well, actually, I did more, of course. I prepared the environment. I made the kitchen available. The recipes were there. I fetched all the groceries, so the system was prepared. Manage the system. I call it. Not managing the people. That's important. And I nurtured the happiness in the system. I created the conditions under which the happiness could emerge. Another example. I was sitting with my CEO at the time. I was Chief Information Officer of a company of about 200 people in Rotterdam. And I said, we never celebrate anything. We're always rushing from one project to the other, always deadline after deadline. It's every now and then we should stand still and enjoy the moment. He said, what do you suggest? I said, well, maybe something that makes a bit of noise. We had a big open office space, a former factory redesigned as an office. So he said, what about a bell? 2 weeks later, he came to my desk with this copper ship's bell. I have no idea where he stole it from, but it was an actual ship's bell. He brought the bell to my desk and said, here's your bell, now do something useful with it. I was like, wow, awesome. The bell to the office police, the office manager, I mean, of course. And she put the bell next to the coffee machine, and from that moment anyone was allowed to ring the bell for any reason. It could be a project delivered, it could be a baby delivered by a person, not by the company. And the bell made a huge noise, I can tell you, in that big open office space. And then 150 people would gather around the coffee machine to learn what the celebration was all about. They quickly figured out that if you heard that sound, there would probably be cookies and cake. Right? So run before it's all gone. That helps. And the person who announced, who rang the bell would announce to everyone what there was to celebrate. And funny thing is that the last time that I heard the bell was when the CEO said to the whole company that I had just quit my job. Which is a true story, I'm not kidding. So I came back a couple of years later and the bell was still there. I was not there anymore. I was already on my own, self-employed, but I came back and the bell was still there and I asked them, are you still ringing it? And they said, yes, we just rang it last week, and I felt so proud. Because something stuck in the culture. I added a bit of playfulness to that culture. Let's ring a bell, that will be weird, that will be fun. And I experimented. I thought, can I change the culture by ringing the bell every now and then and have people celebrate? And by running more of these experiments, I started learning more and faster as a manager. Another example. Lots of managers like contracts. They sign agreements with suppliers and clients and employees. But the problem with contracts is that they limit people's freedoms. You can't do this, you have to do that. That's what they do. And this often reduces the happiness of people, because less freedom is less happiness. So I thought, as an experiment, now I work with 12 people around the world, fully distributed. I thought, can I run a company without agreements, with no contracts? Let's try. So this is how my current teammates think about having no contracts. They seem pretty happy to me. At any moment, one of them can half of my productivity next month, and we say, well, we have no contract, so let's make it work. That will be easier than finding a replacement for you. Or when they want to change their job titles, well, actually we don't have job titles because there are no contracts. So they come up with their own role names. We have a chief geek, we have a zookeeper, we have a project bottleneck. Seriously, my role is Emperor God Overlord. Notice the initials. And yeah, that is us being playful, but at the same time there's a serious note here, because we're trying to innovate. And we're also trying to focus on meaningful products and services, and not on time and location and hours. Who cares? So those are the 7 silver bullets. I gave them all away already. Let's look at them again one by one in reverse order. There are lots of authors much more famous than I am who focus on the meaning of organizations. Simon Sinek wrote Start With Why. Others say, what is it that the world would miss if your organization isn't there? Figure that out. Offer meaningful products and services. That requires us to innovate in management. Not only in product delivery and service delivery, which is all what Agile and Lean are about, but also in the way we manage around it. And that means we have to accelerate learning, increase the pace of learning, because it's a cliche, because it's true. The world is changing faster and faster. That requires us to run experiments. Researchers know that experimentation leads to learning. And we only experiment when we're being playful. Children figured out a long time ago that experimentation is part of playing. Hey, let's try this out. What happens if I push this button? All that stuff. And that means that we have to nurture some happiness as parents for children and as the managers in an organization. But I cannot make people happy, but I can definitely increase create the system for happiness, increase the conditions under which it can emerge. And those are the 7 silver bullets. Are there any managers in this room, by the way? Any managers? Can I see some hands? Any? Oh, I see team leaders, perhaps. Yep. Okay, good number of hands. For the managers in the room, I have a very special version of this slide to make it easier to understand, which has the same information, but then presented as 7 boring bullet points. With some cheesy clip art of something going up, it's always important to have on a management slide. And with an eye for detail, I even use the fonts Times New Roman and Comic Sans. Because I'm a perfectionist here, okay? So with these 7 silver bullet points, you can also address better management with better organizations. Give you a couple more examples. I was at a conference in Barcelona a couple of years ago in Spain, and Jim McCarthy was speaking there. He wrote Software for Your Head and other books. And I was in the audience like you, and he said something that inspired me. He said that this was an agile conference, and he said, you agile people, you're always focusing on co-location. Thou shalt have the Scrum teams in the same room, otherwise you end up in hell, or something like that. He didn't say that, right? That's my interpretation here. And he said, you're always focusing on co-location, but that's not the point. The goal is not having people together in the same room. It's not about geographical closeness. It's about the mental closeness between people. And I sat in the audience and I thought, yes, of course, that's it. Because I was always a bit bothered by the dogmatic message of put the team in the same room. It helps if you can do it. By all means, use it to your advantage. But the trends are in the opposite direction. Let's just face it. Distributed teams, dispersed teams, virtual offices, flex time, remote working. That's the new way of working. So instead of geographical closeness, we should aim for other things to achieve mental closeness between people. I started mind mapping. I thought mind maps are a tool, technique that we use to dive into topics. Well, what if the topic is me? What if the topic is a teammate on the other side of the planet that I want to understand a bit better? So this is my personal map, Jurgen and my education and work, hobbies, family, etc. I just started filling the page and I asked my team members to do the same thing. So this is the personal map of Lisette, our remote office worker, or zookeeper as she calls herself. And she already adapted the practice because she is a more visual person, which is awesome. She uses pictures and photos. And then the trick is, with this practice, as we discovered, that you are not allowed to present your personal map. Because we all know what the extroverts will be doing, right? They will go on and on and on and on and on, and it doesn't stop. Not allowed. We introverts are done in 10 seconds, or less, if you're good, right? So that we have to ask questions. Don't offer information, ask for information. So we started asking questions. Hey, Lisette, why did you have pink hair over here? And then Lisette said, oh, that was me. I was 19 years old. That was my parents. And I was experimenting with hair colors. And then we had a great discussion as a team about the things that we did when we were young, or when we were feeling young, running all kinds of experiments. Here's another one. This one is by Hannu. Hannu is a web developer, and it is perfectly obvious that Hannu is from Finland because there's almost nothing on the personal map. My friends in Finland pride themselves on the fact that they use very few words. They're very economical in their communication, right? That's Finnish people. I love Finnish people. So Hannu says, my name is Hannu, I am from Finland. And then the questions got started. Where in Finland, Hannu? Helsinki. Ultimately, we got a conversation going, I assure you. This joke gets the biggest laugh in Finland, I kid you not. They're awesome. I love Finnish people. So I have another one. This one is by Sergey, our software architect, as you can see. Sergey is awesome. He was actually in Sweden until today, but he had to go back to Russia, where he's from, because of his visa. But he will be back soon. So Sergey's cool. I have more. Dave from early workshops that I did. Terry, ooh, I love it when they get all colorful and playful with their personal maps. Nicole and, oh my God, Julio, engineering manager, of course. Awesome. These are people expressing themselves in the way they prefer. All of them are great. Right? There are no good or bad personal maps. These are humans that we're working with. And if they want to use crayon markers, fantastic. Let's use crayon markers. Others use online tools or whatever. All of that is fine. And you know what? Now this practice is part of our onboarding process. My team insists that anytime we hire a new person, we want to see the personal maps. Draw your personal map in any way you like. We're going to ask questions for 30 minutes, and our personal maps are still on the Google Drive, so you can ask us anything you want. Another example, another practice. Did you know that the word management is from the Italian word maneggiare? It means handling or leading horses. Isn't that nice? It's so nice. It's a great metaphor. It's not about a machine. It's about a living thing, something that you have to take care of, that you have to nurture and feed, and hopefully it doesn't bite your ears off. That's an organization. That's a team. And sometimes I literally hear, I speak at a lot of agile conferences and such, and sometimes I literally hear people say, we have self-organizing Scrum teams. We don't need managers. Let's put the managers on the list of impediments. The Scrum Master will deal with them. And I don't really agree there. Actually, I agree not at all. Because self-organization, a fully self-organizing team would be like a wild horse. There's nothing wrong with a wild horse, but I'm not going to sit on it, slap its ass and say, yeehaw, and then hope that it runs in the right direction. What kind of management is that? So we do need boundaries somewhere. Hopefully they're far away, but we do need them at some point. So this is about giving and taking control, about delegation and empowerment, and many managers suck at this. Let's be honest, they are very bad at clarifying boundaries. I'm going to tell you how I do that, clarifying boundaries. I have 7 levels of delegation that simply facilitates our discussion. Level 1 is pure dictatorship. That would me telling everyone what my decision is. Like take vacation days, for example. I would say you go on vacation from July the 17th to July 29. All right. You go on vacation from July 30 to August the 12th, to Barbados, by the way. You go on vacation, etc. Probably doesn't work like that at most companies, right? Level 2 is trying to convince people of your decision, selling it to them, but still you make the decision. And level 3 is that they tell you what they want. I consult them basically. When do you want to go on vacation? When do you want to go on vacation? But I decide as the manager. Level 4 is agreement. That is the typical Dutch approach, probably also Swedish, because we are very similar. We talk and talk and talk endlessly until most people have died of exhaustion. And then the survivor makes the decision, basically. And then level 5 is the opposite of 3. So now, instead of me consulting the team consults me. So I advise them as the servant leader or the coach or whatever, give them a certain suggestion. Level 6 is do whatever you want, but it would be nice for me to know where everyone is, so keep me informed. Thank you very much. And level 7 is you arrive at the office and every day is a complete surprise who is there and who is not. That will be the wild horse, basically, right? And what I like about this model is that it's symmetrical. You delegate in both directions. And you can visualize that.
I call it delegation board. I have an actual delegation board with my team. So you could say, well, vacation days is a bit traditional. The manager decides, but people can tell him or her who wants to go on vacation where. Team membership is a bit more modern, perhaps. The team decides who is on which team, but the manager offers some suggestions. Clarity. That's what people need, clarity. And then self-organize all you want within those boundaries. I have an example here, an actual photo that was sent to me from a company in Bulgaria, but actually it is a Dutch board. And the connoisseurs would be able to see that this is a Dutch board. Let me tell you something about Dutch people. I'm Dutch, so I know, all right? So don't argue with me on this, all right? Dutch people have this eternal struggle with freedom and order. We love freedom, but we can't have chaos. We don't like that. So, for example, has anyone ever flown into Amsterdam Schiphol Airport? Anyone? Lots of hands. All right. How many of you have seen, just before you landed, those fields down there that are all very nice and straight and rectangular? Anyone? Yep. Yes, lots of hands go up, yeah. As if Mondrian himself painted the landscape, right? Only green instead of red and blue. Now, most of what you see down there is probably marijuana, okay? But we Dutch, we don't care what you grow as long as you grow it in a straight line. That's important. We can't have the marijuana get all entangled with the tulips. That would be a disaster, right? So we have a bit of the same thing here. As you can see, seating is at level 1. Oh, how interesting, a seating arrangement. So you sit there, not on that chair, that's perfect chair for you. Maybe with little nameplates for everyone, for the team. And at the same time, salaries are delegated all the way to level 6. You pay yourself anything you want, I don't care, whatever, as long as you're on the right chair. You can't pay yourself on the wrong chair. That will be chaos. We can't handle that. The Dutch brain is not equipped to deal with that. Anyway, so I have a few more. This one is also nice. This one is from Poland, where they invented the new level 0. That probably means I'm not even going to tell them what I decided. Screw them. Oh, this one from Germany. Complicated. Love it. Love it. There's a little game called Delegation Poker that you can play, that you can download if you want. It's a bit of a silly game because basically you ask the horse, the team, where it thinks the fence is. And the horse says, I think it's over here. Wrong. Ha 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 ha. It's over there. Great discussion. Try it. So this is another experiment that I have been running. I have a few more for you, but first a small intermezzo. I introduced agile thinking in the organization where I was CIO a number of years ago. I introduced Scrum and it was a success. Turnover dropped from 17% to nearly 0 in my part of the organization, not elsewhere, but among the software developers. They started enjoying their jobs more. They were happier. Now that leads me to the question. Is it the success of such practices that makes people happier? The organization was more successful because of this agile transformation and people didn't quit anymore. Or is it usually the other way around? That is, happy people, such as yours truly perhaps, are the ones who introduce such practices. Chicken and egg. Let's see some hands here. It's hard for me to see, but I'm going to try. I'm going to count. So if you think usually success leads to happiness, you can raise your hand only once, okay? Don't cheat. If you think usually success leads to happiness, you raise your hand. If you think this is the strongest of the two effects. All right, I see a couple of hands. That is 7.8, all right? And how many think is the opposite? That's usually the happiness leading to success. All right, yeah, that's 92.2. Awesome. Well, I think I agree, but I'm not fully 100% sure because I found this quote in Sean Akers' book, The Happiness Advantage. We know that happiness is the precursor to success, not merely the result. He agrees with you. But Phil Rosenzweig, a professor much smarter than I am, said, does satisfaction lead to high performance? Probably, but the reverse effect is stronger. But he called it satisfaction, not happiness. which most researchers equate with each other, but not everyone does. Complex. My God, this gives me headaches, this kind of stuff, trying to understand this. Despite all this complexity, one thing we know for sure is happy people are more productive. So even for the most cynical of top managers and CEOs, there's still an argument, there's still a unique selling point, which is you get more out of the people, so to speak, in a skeptical way. But hopefully that's not the only reason why you try to have people be happier, because we work a third of our lives. I think we deserve to be happy in that part of our lives as well, regardless of the ROI. So what makes people happier in their jobs? I was once considering this when I was in Argentina. Fascinating country. Nothing works, everyone is happy. Amazing. You arrive at Buenos Aires airport and you try to get some money, and not a single cash machine works at the whole airport. And they all have different error messages. It's like a Cambrian explosion of error messages. The creativity there is amazing. So I was sipping a cocktail somewhere in Buenos Aires. I probably paid for it by reselling the air conditioning from my hotel room or something, I don't remember. And I was researching the happiness topic. What makes people happy? Particularly in work, but also in life in general. This is what I found. Thank someone and be appreciative to another person. Give something to someone else every now and then. Help someone who's in need of assistance. Eat well, healthy foods, make those available. Exercise, work out regularly. Rest well, sleep sufficiently. Experience new things, run experiments. Hike outdoors, enjoy nature, the fresh air, meditate, mindfulness practices. Socialize, hang out with other people, with friends. Aim for a purpose in life and in your work. And finally, smile whenever you can, even when you have to fake it. That's what the scientists say, at least some of them say, if you don't feel entirely happy, just paint a smile on your face. And then the facial muscles will trick your brain into believing you're a happier person, and you will actually be happier. Amazing, isn't this? Love science. So we can do stuff here as managers as well. Let me first do an exercise. Let me first try and see how well are you guys working on your happiness. If you thanked someone, a colleague, in the last 24 hours, please briefly stand up. Let's see, how many of you? How many have thanked a colleague in the last 24 hours? All right. Okay, that's about 50%. Yep, 51%. No, still 50.5%. All right, very good. Thank you so much. That's an appreciative audience. Let me try something else. How many of you have only eaten well in the last 24 hours? All right, eaten well. Let me see how many of you have eaten well in the last 24 hours. All right, that is, okay, that's a slightly smaller percentage. Yeah, 42.3, okay. Thank you so much. How many of you in the last 24 hours have applied mindfulness or meditation practices? Let me see. Ooh, these are the cool guys, okay? These are the cool people. These are the trendy ones. All right, awesome, I see it. So some of them are carrying yoga mats, I see that. That's so awesome. Cool, thank you so much. And how many of you had a good workout exercise in the last 3 minutes? Yay! Everyone. So there's stuff that we can do as managers as well. For all of these, for example, I was at a company in Spain where they had a meditation room. They call it the Alegría room, happiness room, and it was full of yoga mats and pillows and all that stuff. Amazing. I once organized code reviews in the sun outside with our software teams. I told them, print those objects, interfaces, and all that crap. I know what I'm talking about. And come outside into the fresh air. I almost had to drag them from their caves. Seriously, drag them from their caves into the fresh air. They were like, oh my God, what is that bright thing up there? That's the sun, idiot. You can't swipe it away. Now, Now go sit over here. And we had a wonderful code review. That was so nice. And then we did that quite often. I call it hiking. It was actually only 50 meters. But it was a long way for some. So plenty of stuff. So print this poster and put it above your bed or near the coffee machine or wherever, and confront yourself or your managers and your colleagues that there's stuff that you can do here to have people be happier in their jobs. Because these are steps that we can make. As Sean Aker said, happiness is not an outcome, it is a decision. Right? It is the path itself is the happiness path. There's no destination, basically. It's a decision that we make every day to be a happier person by doing these things. All right, a couple of more examples. Does anyone know from which website I stole this screenshot? Our values are responsibility and sustainability. Anyone? No, not Shell. No. Trump campaign site, no. No, one more guess. Volkswagen, I heard someone say, yes! Volkswagen, congratulations. Our values are responsibility and sustainability. Uh-huh. Right. I think this might be a rare case of German humor. So, what do you does anyone know what the real purpose was at Volkswagen? What they actually wanted to achieve? Anyone? Make money. More specific. Selling cars. More specific. No. They had this very specific objective. Market dominance. Yes, be bigger than Toyota, to be more specific. Toyota was always the biggest car manufacturer, and Volkswagen wanted to be bigger. That was a clear objective for everyone. And they were bigger for a couple of weeks. Until, as the British say so beautifully, the shit hit the fan. Love that expression. We don't have it in our language. Thank you so much for adding it to the world vocabulary. Use it everywhere I can. So I'm so glad I was not in Volkswagen's boardroom at that moment. My God. So yeah, so something is missing here, which is totally obvious to agile people, perhaps, which is a feedback cycle. Is what we say that we're doing also what we're actually doing? Is what on our website also reflected in our actual behaviors? My team has a value stories channel, a Slack channel where we discuss things that are sometimes difficult to discuss or that somehow connect to our values, our ethics. And it could be like, I remember a client ordered a book from our website and then went on vacation for 2 months. Then, of course, the book could not be delivered. He didn't pick it up from the post station, so it got sent back. And when he got back from vacation, oh yeah, please send it again. And I was like, what? That costs us extra shipping fees. Why are you doing this? Because the profit is all gone then. So then I have a discussion with my team. What do we do? Do we charge that person extra shipping expenses, or do we just let it go and be kind? That is an ethical discussion. What kind of company do you want to be? There's no good or bad outcome of discussion. It's a decision that should resonate with your values. Well, guess what? People remember those stories. They don't remember value lists. Lots of companies come up with value lists like, our values are responsibility, accountability, sustainability, flexibility, responsibility, respect, honor, and focus. Right? Does anyone remember those lists? I don't. I don't even remember 3 items when I go to the supermarket. And I come back home with 2 and I'm like, oh my God, I forgot the milk again. So I definitely cannot remember 7 or 9 or whatever. But we remember stories that we tell each other. So some companies capture those stories in value books, in culture books, handbooks. And that's important. I know a company, I was at a company in Poland, in Katowice, where employees themselves went around with a video camera. They interviewed each other. What makes it great for you to work here at that company? People were so proud working at that company. And then they shared stories, and those were captured, and they actually turned that in a promotional video for new employees. It was a project done by the workers themselves. They captured the stories. There are companies with handbooks, culture books. ZAPPOS is a famous one, lovely book that you can download, the PDF from the website. Another small example is the Little Book of IDEO, the famous design company, where they have values such as be optimistic. Well, are they optimistic? I would like to know as an employee. What are the examples of us actually being optimistic? So comparing the documented values with the actual behaviors, that needs to be done on a regular basis, iteratively. The scientists, the researchers like using difficult words. They say the espoused values versus the enacted values. Are they the same or very close to each other? As an example, Frederic Laloux, famous author for Reinventing Organizations, said many organizations have annual value days where people get together to discuss what we actually did, what is our purpose, values, ground rules, and how we live up to them. They discuss that. The only problem is this happens once per year. That's not enough, probably. It's a very slow feedback cycle. Yeah. You need faster feedback cycles. Do something every week. Like some teams integrated it as part of their retrospectives. As agile teams, for example, discuss every week, come up with at least one story of us adhering to our values. My team has the value stories Slack channel. Sometimes weeks go by that nothing is discussed, and I think, oh my God, it has failed. And then suddenly there's a huge discussion about one or two topics, and I think, oh, it's still working. So it's still an experiment, ongoing experiment, but worth trying. Here's a quote that I found online that many people seem to like. The culture of any organization is shaped by the worst behavior the leader is willing to tolerate. Got thousands of retweets last year, thousands. And many people recognized themselves or their companies in this. If there's something happening that is bad and management does not intervene, then that behavior is going to be the baseline of your culture, basically. Everything else grows from that. I prefer the positively phrased version, which I came up with. The culture of any organization is shaped by the best behavior the leader is willing to amplify. Sadly, this did not get thousands of retweets yet. Opportunity here. So I think you need a bit of both. I think you need the negative version and the positive version. Some people say it's like in marriage, where every negative point has to be compensated with at least 5 compliments, right? To make it even, because the negative stuff has more of an impact. Probably it's the same with management and leadership. For every intervention that will be necessary, you have to compensate with at least 5 compliments, shine the spotlight on the good stuff that is happening. And that is how you grow a culture, by weeding out the bad stuff and nurturing the good stuff in a 1-to-5 ratio probably. This eases into the next topic, which is about money. Ooh, interesting. Where I actually apply this also, the shining the spotlights on the good stuff with my team. And that requires me to briefly talk about bonuses. Has anyone ever heard of bonuses? I'm sure you have, yes. The bonus systems in most organizations, if you didn't know it, usually work like this. People get a steady amount of income throughout the year, and then by the end of the year, some people get a lot more. And then usually managers apply what is called the Pareto principle, or Zipf's law, or the 80-20 rule, which means 80% disappears in the pocket of the manager, and 20% goes to everyone else. How kind to share that 20%. And this repeats itself in a fractal way all down the hierarchy, so by the time you get to the bottom, nothing is left. Needless to say, many employees don't like these bonus systems. They think management is doing a bad job, and this is why lots of people are calling out for scrapping the whole bonus system. Just get rid of it. Don't do this anymore. Because people are not motivated by money, they're motivated by good work, and etc. And all of that is true, but you still have a problem to solve in that case. It is called entitlement or overestimation. Did you know that on average, 70% of drivers think they are above average drivers? Makes no sense. I read that among college professors, 80% think they are above average college professors. Now, these are smart people. They should understand, assuming a normal distribution, 50% average. Huh? Yeah. So, actually, and I think among professional keynote speakers, 90% think they are above average. I know these people, really. So, this was research. It was on ScienceDaily.com, which means it is true. A couple of months ago. It was there. Seriously, it was there. And it said they researched. They asked people on teams anonymously, how much did you contribute to the team's results in a percentage? And they added those percentages. They did that with many teams. And on average, the sum per team was 140%. Now, where did that 40% come from? Entitlement, overestimation. People overestimating their own contribution. Interestingly enough, that overestimation effect is correlated with team size. The bigger the team, the more people overestimate what they did, which makes sense psychologically. Because the larger the team, the less you know what they did over there, but you sure know that you did a lot. You worked all night yesterday night. And you're pretty sure that over there, they did not work all night. At least you didn't see it. So this overestimation somehow needs to be compensated. Because if you don't compensate for it somehow, then at the end of the year, 70 or 80% of the people will think they're underpaid because you're not making any differences. And it won't be true, but they're human beings, I mean. Right? So my team does something else. We have a steady amount of income per year, and to try to compensate for this entitlement effect, every now and then there's a little bit extra. Not that much, but just enough to care about it. And this is how we deal with it. Every person has 100 points, and we credit each other for our achievements. So 10 points to you for helping me out yesterday, thank you so much. 5 points to you for your super fast response times, love that. 15 points to you for not killing me when I screwed up the web server, I'm so sorry, I'll never do it again. And these points that they get from each other, they accumulate over time. And then as the business owner, I set aside some bonus money, depending on the performance of the whole system, of the whole company. And like a jackpot, this bonus money also builds up over time. So the only thing left to do is to pick a good moment to convert the peer-to-peer credits that they achieved for their performance in the eyes of everyone else into the real bonus money that is available. This is how we do that.
Okay, dice.
Oh, come on, big money, big money.
Everyone give it a kiss. Come on, lucky dice. We love you, we love you. Oh, it's a 6.
No way!
Can you see? Can you see that?
So we have a simple company rule. At the start of the month, one person throws a dice, and it has to be recorded, it has to be on video. We did it again last week. One person throws a dice. If that person throws a 6, we pay out the bonus money. No 6, no bonus. That's it. Simple. The bonus is still there. You have another chance next month. It could take years. In practice, it doesn't work that way because the person who threw the dice, Louise, it turns out she's a master 6 thrower for some reason. Really, she threw a 6 3 times in 11 months. That is statistically above, significantly above average. We consider renting her out to people in casinos. Anyways, so the reason we do it like this is so that none of us can predict when is it bonus payout time. Because we all know what happens, what people promised a bonus in December. They will have spent the money before they even received it, right? That's how we are. And then when it is less than expected, as it often is, because we overestimate our own contributions, people will demotivate again, and you're back to square one. Oh my God, only 100 euros, but I just shopped at Louis Vuitton. Yeah, that's a problem, isn't it? So, not on my team, they love the bonus system. They think it's their own little Las Vegas casino that they have every month. Every month there's a chance of winning, and they can never lose. Of course, this leads to a lot of questions. I'm around later today after this talk for any questions, but I'll give away one question I always get. Jurgen, does this become a popularity contest? Is it like the popular guys and girls get all the points, and what about those poor introverts who are bad at communicating? Well, I don't really see it. We did a correlation test among introverts, extroverts on the team at points that we didn't see any correlation, but it could happen elsewhere, I'm sure. But you already have a popularity contest with a traditional bonus system. It is called kissing the boss's ass, right? That's the popularity contest you already have in place. What I have with my team is basically democratized ass kissing. I can tell you, I have to kiss a lot of asses to get a bit of bonus money on my team. My God, yesterday was Jennifer's ass, today is Andy's ass, tomorrow is Sergey's ass. I see asses everywhere all week long. It's terrible, terrible. Anywho, some companies, it's not my idea, I stole it from other companies who do this successfully. Some don't have the money part, just the crediting, or they turn their points into little gifts or something. Doesn't matter, as long as somehow you measure the performance in the system. Delegate it. It's like crowdfunding, crowdsourcing. This is crowd performance measurement so that people know how much they contributed to the overall system in the eyes of everyone else. Last example, briefly. When should we ring the bell? Should we celebrate for failure or should we celebrate for success? Interesting question. Some people say we should celebrate failures. It's okay to celebrate failure. Nothing wrong with it. How many of you agree? There's fail conferences. Did you know that? Fail conferences. The people get together and say, yay, I wasted 1 million euros. Woo! How many of you say every now and then it's okay to ring the bell to celebrate failure? Let me see some hands. Let's celebrate failure. All right, good number of hands. How many of you say, well, that's all very nice, but celebrating the bell for successes still makes a lot more sense? All right, good. All right, even more hands. How many of you say, let's just ring the bell all the time? Failure, success, whatever, party all the time, every day. Yes, I thought so. Developers, I knew it. Yeah. Okay, so that doesn't make any sense whatsoever. I base this grid on the work of Donald Reinertsen, who wrote Principles of Product Development Flow. Has anyone read the work of Donald Reinertsen? You're lying, it's unreadable. You read it twice. Some people tell me they tried to read it 5 times. I got halfway, I gave up. But I got the gist of the message. Donald is 10 times smarter than all of us combined, seriously. But I got the gist of the message, and I checked the diagram with Donald that I created, and he said, yeah, that's pretty much what I meant. I was like, oh, thank God. So Donald says, when you celebrate failure, you celebrate this part of the diagram. That makes no sense, because that includes the failures as a result of mistakes. You already know that mistakes usually don't work. Why are you making them? You're just being an idiot. No, it makes no sense celebrating that you are an idiot. It makes sense to celebrate success, but the problem is in most organizations, people only celebrate successes. They only celebrate outcomes and achievements. And that means you incentivize people to move in that direction, because there will only be cookies and cake, probably when you repeat good practices. And then who is going to run the experiments in the middle? Because in the middle, learning is optimal. When we run experiments and we make sure when there's a 50-50 chance of succeeding or failing, then the accumulation of information is optimal. I have no idea what I'm saying now. I'm just channeling Donald at this very moment. Right? So learning is optimal in the middle. So by all means, celebrate success, but also celebrate learning. And I call this a celebration grid that some people have used as a retrospective tool, or at the end of a workshop, as I have done. Sometimes I draw a funnel at the top to indicate that every now and then we should add a new experiment. And here's a big poster that a company printed as part of the retrospective. They add sticky notes and all that stuff to check what are the new experiments we should try, where do they end up, and what are the good practices, what are the mistakes. By the way, we do learn when good practices fail or when mistakes succeed. Those are exceptional cases. Like, for example, quick anecdote. I have a minute. I think, yeah, I can do that. 1 minute. I got a message from somewhere, from Eastern Europe. Someone said, Jurgen, we tried the bell, didn't work. How is that possible? How can a bell not work? Well, she said, we rang it a few times, and that was all very nice. But then one of the software developers rang the bell for announcing to the whole company that he had had great sex the night before. After that, nobody wanted to ring the bell anymore. So sad. Nobody could top it with even better sex, apparently. I'm not making this up. Seriously, you should consider a career in speaking and writing. The stuff that people email you with solid gold, I can tell you. Anywho, so sometimes the bell doesn't work. That's a learning experience when someone rings it for a wrong reason and nobody else wants to ring it afterwards. Interesting, that's a learning experience. But usually good practices don't lead to learning, and mistakes also don't lead to learning. Learning is in the middle when we run experiments. So here we see a photo that was sent to me by a Dutch company. You can see that they're Dutch because they finished the retrospective just before 5 o'clock. Yay, woohoo, everyone go home. It would be 4 o'clock in Sweden, I'm quite sure. So, those are the experiments that I have been running, and hopefully you recognize some of the 7 silver bullets. Manage the system, not the people, manage the system, the environment for more happiness, and then with a dash of playfulness, lots of experiments, hopefully we increase our learning and innovate a little bit. And then we have companies, perhaps, that offer more meaning and purpose with their products and services. There are some copies of this book floating around here at the conference, and I know some of you are able to get one. I'm not telling you how. And that's it. I also have some stickers, but you have to find me to get a sticker in your book. Thank you so very much for being here, and I wish you a very enjoyable the rest of the day. Thank you.